Welcome back to another episode of the Sad Dad Games podcast. My name's Eric.
I'm Shan.
I'm Tucker.
All right, and you are listening to another episode of Eric's Indie Corner. Eric's Indie Corner is a super cool, extra fun time where I, Eric, pick an indie game to talk about, and we talk about that indie game. Why indie games? Because they're great, and I love them. And I think I like games that are created with passion, and I feel like a lot of indie games are created with passion. So I'm going to let someone else who, I feel like I do this intro a lot. Who else? You guys all know the game we're talking about today. What game are we talking about today, Shan?
Well, I just want to derail us for a second. 60 seconds before we hit play, Eric was talking about how he struggles to close his sphincter after taking too much
Great. I'm glad we're talking about that. So cards on the table. I get constipated a lot.
I feel like that's why you brought me into this conversation, right?
Yep. I was really hoping that Shan would bring up the medicines that I take to loosen my stool and pinch my sphincter. So appreciate that.
Yeah, Eric, can you give us a rundown of what laxatives we should take so our sphincter does not become
so Miralax.
So it doesn't do this, like you were saying?
So Miralax is just a stool softener.
Or just be a trap door that just is always open.
So Miralax is just a stool softener. You want to take if you need to take it regularly, you take Miralax. If you're taking it regularly, don't take X-Lax, because X-Lax is a stool softener and it also pulsates your sphincter. So don't do that, because
like a
if you do too much,
don't put on really EDM help while on X-Lax.
Yeah, it's the poop.
Is
the
that
poop
what
pulses.
E is?
Yeah,
that's what the E stands for. Yeah.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for joining us for Eric's Indie Corner, where we talked about my butthole.
This has been an illuminating conversation, one of our best so far.
I think
but
so.
Eric, I just have to stop us right there, because aren't we talking about Kana today?
No, I think I'd like to. Yes, of course we're talking about Kana.
Thank you for getting us back on track, Shan.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Let's please stop talking about your bowel movements.
I'm really sorry. Too much information.
Too
yeah, I sincerely apologize for derailing us with my own bodily functions. That's 100% on me and not anybody else.
Yeah. So Kana, I call it Kana. I think it's also Kina. It's also Kenna. What is this?
That's what I was just going to ask you guys. What do you say, Tucker?
It's Kana.
Let's see. I don't know now that you're asking me. Kana? I think
you
I
said
say Kana.
Kina.
What did I say? Kina?
You said Kina earlier.
Okay, so I think I say Kina. But I've heard
it both ways.
And Kina and Kana. I think I say Kina, but I don't remember now. I've said it so many times that I'm not sure. Anyways, it's a game called Kina, Kana, Bridge of Spirits.
So this game by Ember Labs, they were an animation studio. We'll get into that in a minute. But Kana is basically like a dungeon crawler. It's like this, you could almost call it kind of Souls-like, just because it's got some awesome, pretty difficult bosses. It gave me the most, when I played this game, I immediately thought, this is what I want New Age Zelda to be, right? I want this type of puzzle solving. I want this level of difficulty.
This scratched the Zelda itch so well for me after Breath of the Wild, which I loved, but it just wasn't that classic Zelda game, and this just is oh, hey, you want classic Zelda? Here you go. Here's an awesome game that will fit that to a T.
Yeah. Right, and also just one more thing, and we'll get into it when we get to design later, but this studio has some of the best animations in the entire industry. Even though they are an indie outlet, they are doing Pixar level video game animations. There's so much life and just beauty to the worlds that they create.
If I remember right, wasn't this when the PS5 was announced, wasn't this one of the games they showcased on it?
Oh, that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a headlining title. I don't remember if it was right when the PS5 was announced. It might have. I think you might have been right there, Tucker. But it definitely was one of the in PS5's early marketing before the console came out. It was here are some of the games coming, and Bridge of Spirits was one of those big ones that was it was in the head lineup with Demon Souls and the Spider-Man Miles Morales. Demon's Souls. We did the same thing in the last episode, you guys.
Eric.
But all that to be said, it was one of the big headlining titles with those other heavy hitters from PlayStation. And it was a PlayStation exclusive for a little bit there. So yeah, so kind of like you guys were saying, Bridge of Spirits it's a third-person action adventure, very much evocative of like 3D Zelda games before Breath of the Wild era. It has that kind of not old, but like that slightly older feel of the 3D Zelda games, which I am a huge fan of. Really enjoyed that. Developed, like Shan said, by Ember Labs. It released on September 21st of 2021, so almost a year after the PS5 came out. And then it came out about a year after that on Xbox and Windows. And as we kind of touched on before, Ember Labs was not always a video game studio. They were an animation studio first and then started branching out into video games. And so looking into that and some of their past projects, I found some really interesting things. Normally, I'll have a very quick like toss aside thing where I'm like, other notable games from the studio are, here are a couple other games that they developed, just to kind of give you an idea of what they've done before. It's different for Ember Labs because it's not a lot of games, but I did find some really interesting things. They've had a couple of like little demo reel / commercial things for Coca-Cola. They have a short film that they made called Dust, which is like a sci-fi fantasy. It's live action with a lot of like some CGI elements and stuff mixed in there, which is pretty cool. Terrible Fate, which is a phenomenal Majora's Mask inspired short film about how Skull Kid got the mask from the Happy Mask salesman. And it's one of their best bits of work to date. Really excellent.
It's so good.
Yeah, go watch it right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So Ember Labs is really, really cool. And then I found another couple of things that were, I found one thing in particular that I was just amazed by. So a little peek behind the curtain here. I have a day job. This isn't what I do full time. And my day job is, because it couldn't be what I do full time. We have like,
why not? It's so lucrative.
Yeah. So my day job is I'm a designer for KFC Digital, and so when looking into this, I found that Ember Labs had worked on a Colonel Kart racer game, which was like Mario Kart but with the Colonel Sanders from KFC, and I was so completely tickled by that. So I did a little bit of research. I tried to find it and download it for myself, but it is unfortunately only available in the Philippines. So really high profile work here. But it's a really funny little, I watched a trailer, I read some stuff. It came out, first released in 2013. It's available on iOS, Android, and then Mac and PC. It's a kart racer with 6 tracks that features the Colonel and other characters from the Fanta brand, whatever that means. I tried to do some research. I have no idea what characters are from the Fanta brand.
The Fanta dancers?
Maybe. That's the only thing I thought, like the Fanta
Don't
girls.
You want to?
Yeah.
Maybe just all of the Fanta girls, but in different colors. I have no idea. I couldn't find any real screenshots.
Colonel Sanders, he can pull, right?
Yeah,
He's
apparently.
He can pull.
So I was very tickled to discover that my favorite animation studio / one of my favorite indie dev studios also worked on a KFC video game. That was super fun for me to discover.
Can you please, like, next week when you go back to work, see if are there anybody that's been there for 12 years and can maybe give insight into this?
Well, it would be a different. It was KFC International. So no one that I know or work with would have had anything to do with this. It's overseas stuff. So
okay.
Yeah, even if they had been there for 12 years, the most knowledge that they'd have is they'd be like, oh yeah, I remember when the Philippines did that, and that's all they would know. So,
well, I'm guessing this was like released broadly, and they scaled it back when it started failing.
I mean,
and
I don't know.
For some reason, the Philippines just really loves their KFC, and so they were able to keep it alive.
KFC
when
internationally.
I think of Philippines, or when I think of the Philippines, it's KFC and kart racers.
Yep, those two things.
Right.
So KFC internationally is kind of huge. It's way bigger everywhere else than it is in the States. Like, I can't remember where, I think maybe in Japan. I think it might be Japan. Like one of their big, like Christmas Eve dinner is KFC. Like the whole country buys KFC for Christmas Eve dinner. It's like a tradition for like the whole country. And so international KFC is huge, way bigger than it is in the States.
Huh. Wow.
So fun fact. So it makes sense that Philippines would have a super fun kart racer that no one else gets because it's just for them. All right. Anyways, I feel like let's dive in proper. Let's talk about this game. I'm excited to talk about this game because this is one that all three of us have played. Not always do we do indie corners where we've all three played the game, but so this will be a fun one. So to break it down, we're going to talk a little bit about story, gameplay, and then visuals and sound. So for story, you play as a spirit guide named Kina. You help souls who are trapped between the physical and spiritual world, and it's your job to figure out what is wrong with those people, or what not what's wrong with those people, but what unresolved trauma or guilt or whatever they might have, and to help them solve that so that they can move on to the other world. And early on in the game, you discover a vengeful spirit who is causing a corruption to spread throughout the land, throughout the forest, and that's kind of what you're working with, is you're freeing these spirits and you're working to clear the corruption out of the forest. And to help you do that, you find these adorable little characters called Rot, which are like cute little fluff balls with big googly Disney eyes, and they're super cute. And the story, unfolds and is actually very well told, is really interesting. Lots of fun characters, compelling story moments as you kind of help these people along their spiritual journey to the afterlife, to help these spirits can be really compelling and really heartfelt and genuinely moving at times. So story in this game is very well told, and is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the big reasons to play this game. It's a nice heartfelt journey.
Also, it's such a cool world. It's, I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but this evil in the forest has caused the people that inhabited the forest to disappear, die, and so NPCs are pretty sparse, and it just feels this overarching eerie feeling throughout the entire game, which is fantastic. So just super cool world that I wasn't expecting, just given the art style of this game and playthroughs. There's some darker elements to it.
Yeah, this also just reminds me of we just got finished talking about what was the game?
Ori in the Blind Forest,
and that one also has a corrupted forest. So I was curious where this trope of like dark fantasy rotted forest came from, and the earliest I can remember, and as confirmed by the internet, like this was kind of codified into fantasy. No, Tolkien.
Was
everything is
Wait, Tolkien wrote Ferngully?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So, I don't know. I don't know if he was the first by any measure. Maybe it goes back to some mythology or the Grimm fairy tales. That's probably a more nascent version of this, but
he was the first in so many other things. Let's just go ahead and attribute it to him. Yeah,
it's Tolkien made that world. He established that subgenre, I guess.
Yeah. So, and I do think I like the comparison that you drew to Ori and the Blind Forest, because something that I think, Ori and the Blind Forest is a fun and compelling game, but the story can kind of fall a little flat because it's just a very simple, like good versus evil, corruption versus, incorruption kind of a thing. And Kina definitely does that too. It's, but it layers other interesting things on top of it. It's almost like that's the backdrop for the more human stories that are being told as you seek out these spirits and help them along their journeys. And I think that's what makes the story so compelling. If it was just a story about, all right, go purge the corruption from this forest, it would probably be serviceable and would be a fun game anyways. But because it has these really emotional human stories as like kind of a core anchor for this gameplay experience, I think that it really elevates the story and makes it something a lot more interesting than it would have otherwise been. Yeah. So yeah, story's really solid. Definitely a good reason to play this game. And we'll kind of get into the specifics of this later, but cutscenes are very well directed, really engaging. They're fully voiced, so all of the character dialogue is voiced and very well voice acted. And just really, so it's not just the story that is good. The methods which the developers have used to convey that story are convincing and compelling and interesting. So big fan of pretty much everything on that front.
If I remember right, one of the only blights on this, I think that Kena had like 60 FPS gameplay and 30 FPS cinematics, and that is one of the worst things you could do for me. I know it's a very common thing because cinematics are jarring when it's real time, but just cutting between those, especially like I don't feel, if I remember right, this game didn't have great motion blur or any at all, and they have some of the most beautiful animations I've ever seen in a video game. So going down to 30 FPS with no motion blur on these animations just felt like it was crippling to me.
Yeah, I think I don't remember. I think so. When I first got this game, I was so taken with like the PS5's new fidelity features and its lighting and all of the fancy things. And 4K, I had just bought a 4K TV for the first time, and so 4K was king. And so I think I played in the quality mode that plays at 30 frames per second and 4K. So I think I played the whole game in 30 frames per second. So I didn't notice that. If I played it again now, I definitely would go for the 60 frames per second because I think it plays at like 1800p, which is basically, no, it's not 1440, which is basically like the distance my couch is from the TV. It's almost indistinguishable from 4K. So that's probably what I would do now.
Oh,
but
you know what? I'm looking at Digital Foundry here, and it says that the pre-rendered cutscenes are actually 24 frames per second, so movie
oof.
frames per second. That explains why I was so like upset about it. And
Yeah,
like I wasn't
jumping
even
from
really
60 to
yeah,
24 is pretty steep. Yeah.
like I wasn't even like that much into understanding frame rates at the time I played it. I was like, well, that's too much even for me.
Yeah. No, that can be pretty jarring. So I definitely get that. But they're very well directed, very well
They're
animated.
beautifully directed. A lot of character driven animations, and or just like there's so much visual storytelling that they are able to accomplish that almost no other games know how to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So story, top notch, really good stuff. With the exception of some, if you're sensitive to frame rate fluctuations, the cutscenes might be a little much for you. But yeah. So moving on to gameplay. Gameplay, like we mentioned, it plays very similar to like a pre-Breath of the Wild Zelda game, where there's the kind of an open area. You can backtrack in and around that open area. You get new items and abilities that open up new areas for you. It does kind of have this like old 3D Zelda vibe, which I personally am a huge fan of. It is a secret to no one that I'm a gigantic Zelda fan, and so I think that Ember Labs is also full of a bunch of gigantic Zelda fans, and I really felt that in this the gameplay design. So I really enjoyed that. But one area where they do kind of branch out from that Zelda design is the combat. I feel like combat is got a lot more teeth than most Zelda games. It can be pretty challenging. Almost like a Souls-like, but not nearly as difficult. But it does have that kind of like dance of dodging and blocking and parrying and attacking and waiting for the right windows to attack that a Souls-like game would have.
Well, and also like the delta between boss fights and regular gameplay is so high that you can push it into that Souls-like arena.
Yeah, and I would say
the
a
boss
different
fights
thing.
are. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, yeah, the boss fights were my biggest surprise in this game, because it is such a big difference between your normal just going around solving puzzles, random enemies, versus actual boss battles are like, okay, I gotta sit forward in my seat, like get real.
Die a few times, yeah.
They can be
Yeah.
pretty
Get sweaty.
tough. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I felt like in a fair way, like they telegraphed the attacks, they give you a fair window. It's just that like a Souls, like you actually have to pay attention, you actually have to learn and get a muscle memory from playing it, and it's not just like cheap bad AI.
Yeah, I wouldn't, as far as like level of difficulty goes, I wouldn't really put it in the same realm as a Souls-like game. But as far as
Yeah.
gameplay style, like where you have to learn the enemy's patterns and react accordingly, I'd say that it definitely feels like a Souls-like game in that way, where you have to know when to parry, when to dodge, when to you have an opening to attack. So I really enjoyed the combat quite a lot in this game, and I like that it's very versatile too. You get like arrows and bombs and stuff as you go throughout the game, and that incorporates into both puzzle solving and combat very, very well. And that's something that I feel like Zelda games do really well. Is when you get new items and new abilities, it's not just like, okay, this is a lock and key situation. And it is sometimes for some items where it's like, this is good in this one situation. But a lot of times it's like you get a new item and it's like, oh, I can use this to solve puzzles and to fight enemies. And Kena Bridge of Spirits does a great job of doing that too. Or when you get new stuff, it's multifaceted.
Yeah, I think I ended up abusing it, but it has the bow and arrow trope where if you jump in the air, you go into slow motion.
Yeah.
And that gives you the edge
time.
that you need.
Yeah.
Bullet time, yeah, the Matrix trope. But I think you might even be able to increase the duration or something. But like once I got into using that for boss fights, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna run around in circles, not even pay attention to the boss, jump up in the air for my bullet time, and shoot, and then go back to the dodging.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get a good hit on that weak point.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I really appreciate with it is there's a lot of player choice in the boss battles. It's not, hey, this is the 1 or 2 ways you can beat this boss.
Attack the eyeball.
You can do it within your play style, which is nice. So like I was similar to Shan's, like once I figured out like kind of the like dodging, get up in the air, bullet time arrow move, that was my go-to. But you have like a little staff. There are times where it's, let me just bum rush, staff, dodge, run away, come back. So a lot of just kind of cool, I guess you can explore the combat with the bosses especially on what's going to work best for each boss.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the way that it presents your offensive options within the game as well, because you have your magical staff and you can use that to cast the spells that you use to clear away the corruption, but also it's your melee attack weapon, and if you hold it up a certain way, it turns into your bow and arrow, and you also use it to summon your bombs. And so it's you kind of do everything thing, which I think is a fun concept, because again, comparing it to Zelda games, Zelda or Link has this in Zelda games, Link has this like endless, deep pockets full of really specific items. But in this one, Kena just has her magical staff that kind of can shift and do what she needs it to do based on the situation. So I thought that was a fun way to present that. I made it kind of clean and felt simple and understandable, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. There's also some light platforming challenges, jumping and dashing around platforming stuff, and some like climbing sections, sort of, like you would in an Uncharted game where there's climbable areas and you use that to navigate around in a certain way. But everything is fairly controlled and not linear, but there's you can't just climb on anything like you would in a Breath of the Wild game. It's controlled to be like, this is the path, you can get up here this way. And so they use that to be able to design sharp and specific puzzles, which feels again like an older school Zelda game, which I really, really like. You also, as you go throughout the game, you collect, like we mentioned before, those little rot characters, which are like little adorable puffballs. And you get tons and tons of them, and they can help you along with, eventually they can learn some more offensive abilities. They can help power up some of your normal attacks, like your heavy attack. You can infuse them with a bunch of rot and do more damage. They also can help you move items and solve environmental puzzles. And so they add an extra wrinkle on top of your puzzle solving and your combat. Again, marrying the two different styles of gameplay with one element. They do that really well. So the rot become your very adorable little companions that, you find a meditation spot and you sit down and they sit down and meditate with you, and they're super cute. So really fun story-wise, really fun gameplay-wise. Big fan of those little guys.
And you can put different hats on them, which is
you can put different hats on them. And it's the cutest thing ever.
Put a hat on it.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what? We found out that's the secret for the algorithm is hat-centric gameplay. So This is a game all about hats. Yeah, you can put hats on the rot. Please take note of that, Mr. YouTube, and boost this video for us.
For those who don't understand, because there was no context given, we we get a drip feed of like 1 to 2 subscribers every few weeks, and then one time Eric put out a hat in time for his indie corner, and we got 10 subscribers, and I was pretty sure that there was a bot infestation of YouTube, because we have no idea why they came for that episode specifically.
Nope, people just like hats. If I've learned anything, yeah.
We think it was the hat. Yeah. It didn't even have abnormal viewers. Like, it was almost a normal amount of viewers, but an insane number of subscribers.
People like hats. What can I say? So you could put hats on the rot. That's the takeaway from this. It's the
Like,
best
comment,
thing ever.
subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Hat, 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 hat. A hat trick.
All right. So I feel like that pretty well covers the gameplay. Super solid stuff, really enjoyable. And then this is I feel like what we all kind of want to talk about is the visuals and sound. We've kept touching on it a little bit, but the visuals in this game are absolutely top notch. Completely gobsmacked to see something this visually polished from an indie studio and a relatively small team. Like these developers know their stuff. The world is gorgeous. It's lush, full of greenery, excellent lighting, great character designs and good character models, phenomenal animation. It really is one of the most visually pleasing and visually interesting worlds I've seen in a game. It's absolutely top-notch stuff.
Yeah, the visuals, I don't know, they're so much higher. Or sorry, let me start.
The visuals are so much higher.
Are so much higher. The visuals are such a step above other indie games that it's hard to consider this an indie game, even though it is. It feels more kind of in that double A genre, and so it's just, I don't know. I can't put into words how fantastic the visuals are and how much it adds to the gameplay and just the fun of it. Like I'm currently playing through. Well, I just finished playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I'm not gonna say it's on par with that, but it's a very similar feel. It's just this really visually stimulating game that just makes you want to come back for more every single day.
Right. Tucker loves something that is very stimulating and makes him come.
Yeah, exactly.
Just paraphrasing.
Yeah. Just soundbite that, clip that.
I feel like every episode I have a moment where I think to myself in my brain, it's like, there's a soundbite of Shan saying that on the internet now.
Yeah. I'm trying to push us, to really open up and say some aggressive things because the algorithm favors things that are incendiary, or just wiener jokes. I don't know.
Who doesn't love a good wiener joke?
There's been a lot of wiener jokes and doesn't seem to be juicing the algorithm that much.
We'll put a hat on it.
Put a hat on the wiener. And then, boom. That's the secret.
I'm Shan and I approve this message. It's a satirical reference. Don't worry about it.
Gotcha. So not a lot else to say about the visuals besides that they're just wonderful. Really technically proficient as well as really smartly artistically directed. It's a really good marriage of art and technical prowess. Very, very compelling game visually. And the animations are all buttery smooth, not just in the cutscenes, which are very well directed, very well animated, but even in the gameplay, animations are very smooth. Things feel exactly how they should. I don't think there was a single moment in the game where I felt like you could see the seams where one animation would snap to another. It's very fluid, very well done, just really visually very polished game.
And I think a lot of games, they'll use animations and then they'll use blending to be able to get between animations. And I can't say this definitively, but I feel like what this game is doing differently is they're literally animating everything. Right? And it's not just blending between things. It's they actually went through the effort to do the squash and stretch and bounce and everything to every animation so that it feels very fluid and realistic.
Yeah, their Ember Labs pedigree as a animation studio before game development studio is clear and on full display in this game. It's top-notch animation. Music is also very, very good, composed by Jason Gallaty, and it has a very nice sweeping emotional soundtrack that can get quite bombastic with boss battles, and so it does a really good job of selling this fantasy world and communicating the emotional stakes with this, spirit guide's journey. So very big fan of the music. It has this kind of nice sort of, I don't really know how to it's like a spiritual feel to it because it is a story about a spirit medium helping guide lost souls. And the music does a really good job of making you kind of feel that intensity through those story moments. So yeah, music is also really good. Absolutely no slouch. We talked a lot about the visuals in this one, but music deserves a really good shout out as well. It's really, really good. Also, this game had a free update about a year after it came out that included New Game Plus, more Spirit Guide trials, charm stones, which are, you can slot into your equipment to help modify your different, attributes and things like that to get a little more control over the kind of game you want to play. And it had some extra cosmetic outfits as well, which is a fun little bonus. So if, like me, you've played this game when it first launched and then haven't played a ton of it since, it's a good reason to go back, to go back and try this game again, play through it again. And yeah, really good stuff. Do you guys have any last thoughts before we close this one out?
This game is brilliant. I got all of them to play it. I was fascinated from beginning to end.
Yes, it was Shan. I wasn't at all completely excited on my own.
Well, no, Tucker was kind of on the fence. I got him to pushed him into it at least. But
yeah, I don't have any other opinions. Shan just tells me what to believe, and I believe it.
I was going to say, this is one that I was like, outside of the Spider-Man game that was coming, like Spider-Man Miles Morales that was coming at the launch of the PS5, I think this is the one that I was most excited about. I saw the trailer and I was like, I need to play that.
Yeah, but like what's fascinating me, and I don't know the answer, but like how did they go from pure design to like also getting just this absolutely precise and well-polished gameplay experience? Because to what degree would their pedigree have like developers on hand that they would know how to, they would understand level design philosophy and just coding the mechanics so flawlessly? Like, I don't know how they executed that, but like for an indie studio with their first IP, I don't think any studio that comes to my mind did so perfectly on their first try other than Team Cherry for Hollow Knight. Like, and
yeah,
but these guys weren't developers before, and I assume Team Cherry, no, they weren't developers before either, so they deserve the accolades as well.
The accolades, not the acolytes.
Acolytes are followers, and accolades are praise.
All right.
You
Okay,
dumbass.
so I knew. Okay, I just thought you meant something different. Dang, I thought I caught Shannon using a word wrong. Yeah,
I do, but I usually say it so confidently, and you guys are too stupid to know the word in the first place, so I can get away with it.
All right.
I think by stupid you mean we're not as pretentious.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make sense. That's not the word I was going to use.
Nope, you're wrong. Yeah.
Shan, you pretentious prick. Anyway, Eric, please take us out.
I'll take us out, I guess. All right, that's it. We're done now. All right, so this is a fantastic game. Definitely check it out. Super high recommend from all three of us. Playtime, you get about 10 to 20 hours with this game. There's lots of fun side content that you can engage with or not. If you just want to blast through the story, you can do that. It was initially available only on PS4 and PS5, but later released on Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Windows. And you can get it for $39.99. This is also one that I feel like had a bigger physical launch than a lot of other games do. A lot of other indie games do, I mean. So you could probably find a physical copy one of this game a little more easily than other indie games if that's important to you, which it should be. Physical games are the best.
Yeah. Physical PS4, $18.99 on GameStop, $18.99 PS5 for the deluxe edition. So
hot dang, jump on that. What a great deal.
We need physical in order to regulate the prices for digital sales, or just stop buying digital if you can help it. But like, the only reason that prices come down in digital is because they have to compete with physical. If you guys give them the power of going all digital, then game prices will just stay locked in at their highest price because they will have a moat around that marketplace. Don't give them the power.
Everything will be Nintendo. Everything will be Nintendo.
Everything will be Nintendo. Those guys have a moat. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do shit with their prices, right? You need aftermarket. You need competition. Otherwise, they're going to take advantage of you. I don't understand, like, giving away your consumer rights and your power to hire.
On this rant, you guys.
Why do you guys do this to yourself? You want the convenience? Why do you? a little bit of convenience is so nice to you that you're sacrificing your power. You need that power.
Welcome to Shan's rant corner.
Yeah.
Okay, this is so important, and I got these two to go as physical as possible.
Yeah, physical media especially in video games, is a trigger phrase for Shan. It gets him off on his soapbox. And I mean, I agree. Physical media is super important. Don't sacrifice our right to ownership for the sake of convenience.
It's the same price, and it is better in all other way, other than you have to stand up occasionally to swap out your disc. Guess what? You are also paying extra in storage if you go all digital. Like, you're paying a premium for something that you don't have the rights to. Like, don't be a dipshit. Just own it and stand up and swap out your discs.
Yeah.
If you
idiots.
give the corporate elite power, they will never give it back to you. And we are just eroding that power that we have right now for ourselves. Just off soapbox. Guys, please do the right thing. Go digital. I mean, go physical. Wow.
Really messed that one up. Just stumbled over the finish line with that one, Shan. You made a lot of really beautiful, well said points, and then you just tripped over the finish line. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining another episode of Eric's Indie Corner / Shan Soapbox. Remember that you can find our regular episodes every Monday, and then Eric's Indie Corner every Thursday. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. And we really enjoy listening to you guys and chatting with you guys. So if you want to leave us a comment, we would love that. I'd love to chat with you specifically about these indie games that I love. So we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Outro. Bleep-a-doof, bleep-a-deep, bloop-a-dee-blow.